Dr. Tubbs, that when an embassy organizes for security reasons in their area, they invite particular people for the how to accommodate people. If anybody comes, the embassy will be a very small place. So I think you were not invited, not because the opposition, but because this occasion, it was fully booked. But in the next occasion, they will invite you because it is for the nation, not for the party. So you were not
So
discriminated because of your opposition links. You were
then
probably missed because you were
I
busy.
don't know. I sorry to interrupt you there. I don't know probably your and their definition of a national event, because a national event is an inclusive event. So whatever discretion used to invite must show that inclusivity. So in any case, if ever there is no probably any member of the opposition who is there invited, of which I am rightfully in the knowledge that there is no any member of the opposition who is there, then again we have already evaded the essence or the definition of a national event.
No,
Jen,
I think, Comrade Taps, you misunderstood the nature of invitation. You are invited because they have to view whether the accommodation is enough to accommodate everybody. So you were missed because it was on invitation basis. This has nothing to do
Jen,
with your opposition links.
Jens, we're going to need to start.
Yes.
Right. And before we go into our main discussion tonight, we have an incident here that has happened in Namibia. And I would want to just briefly touch on that. Tonight, we're just discussing the Rbz unfreezing of the bank accounts of
I think
the.
I think
Yes, sir.
Simba,
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry to interrupt there. I
Yes,
think
sir.
the event of Dr. Taps cannot be brought into this debate for now unless you can get hold of the Namibian counterparts who would explain what happened. What if we are debating a one-sided issue? Let's go to
All of,
Rbz.
no, no,
Yes.
you're probably right. And the only reason why I stated this and I wanted to hear him because things were actually happening. As you can see, he's literally moving out of our way from the building as we speak. So it's something that was literally happening on the spot,
Yeah,
and
but
it yeah. So it
what
wasn't
makes
for
you
discussion. This wasn't for discussion. It was just for him to narrate what on earth is happening in his view, and because he's got a camera, so we would actually see what is happening as he was narrating there.
yeah, because my argument is what if Dr. Taps was drunk and he was removed for his own safety or for disorderly conduct? Why do we have to listen to one side on a national forum? I think that will be very unfair. It will be biased.
On the contrary, you are converging with me. You are a clear judge or testimony as to who Dr. Taps you are talking or converging with. So in any case, you are able in your capacity to distinguish a drunken person or a person who is of sober habits. So that one is far-fetched, or if you are trying maybe to be
But
technical on the
let's
matter.
let's 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 just tell us, Dr. Taps. Here, you are in Namibia. Just briefly for 1 minute, and then we'll be done and dusted. We will seek a comment from the embassy and from the staff there, and I will ask you only to narrate what you can factually relate, not your opinion, because it will be unfair. Yeah. So tell me, what happened? What's happening there? Where exactly are you?
Thank you, Simba. As of now, I'm just arriving back home, but I arrived at the Nampower Convention Center in Windhoek, where I reside as well, in Windhoek.
Mhm.
There was an event which is the celebration of the Zimbabwean independence. In fact, it's a belated celebration, right? So getting there, I was approached by three members whom I am convinced they are ZANU-PF people who told me I'm not welcome. Because when I entered at the gate, the police allowed me because I had to carry my ID showing that I'm a bona fide Zimbabwean citizen, and the event in question is an event for Zimbabweans, not for ZANU-PF. So they allowed me in, but getting at the reception is when these three ZANU-PF people approached me, told me I'm not welcome there, I'm not on the list, I'm not invited, and I must not be there. Thereby which I engaged them. They called some police officers, three of them again, which I told, no, nobody has a right to chase me away from a national event. By virtue of being a Zimbabwean, I must be here. So there was a bit of commotion, and now they succumbed because they felt like now it's going to tarnish the image because of other European diplomats who were there as well, who were invited. So again, that's what really happened. The commotion was there, but I was telling them that no, they have no right to chase me away. And let me put it to yourself again that some kids, a lot of kids from a school, Sunshine School, were feeling cold there. Their other parents had to come whisk away their children from there because the owners of that school, again, Sunshine School, are pros and ZANU-PF people, and so kids and teachers, employees, with or without their will, they were told to attend that event, and they were invited so that they would try to glorify whatever they were trying to celebrate there.
That comes exactly to what I was saying, Simba and Dr. Taps. You have said it yourself that you were told that you were not on the list, you were not invited. Invitation, you don't have to come in there because you're Zimbabwean. You go in there because you're invited, and it's obviously you were not invited, and that's what you have said. And again, Mr. Ndlovu, our guy in Namibia, just texted me to say you caused a commotion, and the police had to escort you away. It was not
I
that.
was never escorted by any police because in any case, those Namibian police are law enforcers and they know their role and mandate on that spot. Because I came there, they screened me. So they, by virtue of being a Zimbabwean, they allowed me in. And
Yeah,
in
because
any case, you cannot make two wrongs a right, because I personally did not need anybody's invitation to be at that event, because it was not at the embassy or at somebody's house where you are talking of probably the space. This is a convention center. You must bear that in mind.
yeah, so that's where the problem is. You went there to prove a point, and unfortunately,
You are putting words in my mouth.
Dr. Taps, let me finish. We are
I did not
discussing.
go there to prove a point. So I must tell you, when you are going in the bush, I can't let you fall in the ditch. Then I rescue you. I must
Okay,
rescue
I
you
need
before you fall.
no
I did not go
rescue
there
me
to prove
later,
a point. I did
Doctor.
not go there to prove a point. So desist from those sentiments. I did not go there to prove a point.
Dr. Taps, you were not invited, even though it
I
was a
did. I
national
do
event.
not need.
The
Did you
point
hear
where
me? I do not need an invitation.
you are
Can
already
you address
disruptive.
that?
You are disruptive in this
Can you address
discussion.
that? I don't
Any,
need an
you
invitation.
do.
Is what I don't.
Your biggest
How
problem
can you
is you
tell
are
me? Okay,
disruptive. You can't
listen
you
here.
can't you can't give somebody a chance to talk. You have been talking. I was listening. It shows
No, but
exactly
I can't
what you
let
did
you
when you arrived.
go off road.
That's what
I can't
happened
let you go
when
off road.
they were talking to you. You started interrupting them, and they had no
I
choice
did
but to
not
remove you.
interrupt them.
But let me
I
explain
told
this to
them
you.
they were speaking to me. They were conversing with me.
If you
Three
want to
of
talk to
them.
yourself, Dr. Taps, I can keep quiet and you can go ahead and talk. But I thought you had your chance. It's my chance now. But if you want
Yeah,
to
but
talk,
in your
if you
chance,
want to be
don't
head
say
alone,
things that are of assumptions.
the,
Be
the bottom the
objective in
bottom
your
line
chance.
is the bottom line is they did a due diligence. You were not on the list because there was a list, and it is unfortunate that you believe that you are Zimbabwean, you just have to go where Zimbabweans are. Wherever Zimbabweans are, even your own person's funeral, your relative's funeral, if you are not wanted there, they will remove you. It does not matter that you don't have to be invited. In this case, people were invited. There was a list which you confirmed to, and you were not in that list. So I don't see why you can make noise about that point. The matter is very clear. You were not invited. You were not in the list. They asked you to leave. You made your noise. You wanted to prove your point, and you are doing the same thing even here. You are making the same noise, trying to prove the point. But I think that's not the debate today, and I'm not going to be commenting any further on this one. But I wanted you to know that it's not right to say things which are not correct.
I don't know your definition of due diligence. That's what I can say to you, because I insist on the fact that I don't need an invitation. Can you address me on that? Why should I be invited on a national event? So whatever you are trying, the other nitty-gritties of this whole event that you are trying to bring in are unconstitutional. So my point of exit with you is that you are trying to tell me that it's correct or it's constitutional for me to be invited for a national event. There we beg to differ. Unless you have otherwise your description or your discretion as to matters pertaining national events.
Yeah, I think it will take the whole night to convince you. You don't just come to a national event because it's a national event. You will have to be invited. If you are not
By
invited,
who?
whether it's national
Who,
or personal or
whose
family affair,
authority? By
we can.
who?
No, you see,
Who
your
has the
problem is you
jurisdiction?
you you love
Who?
it.
The jurisdiction lies
Dr.
with
Taps,
who to invite
I'm
citizens
going to
on a
leave
national event.
this debate
This is an
because
inclusive.
you are not
Do
a
you
person to
understand
talk
the
to.
term inclusive?
No, the fact that there was a
Uh,
list, it was not inclusive.
you don't.
Because there was a list, so it was not inclusive. If your name was not in the list and you know that, so I don't see why you are making noise. You are being a crybaby here. I think this issue, Simba, if you wanted to go ahead, I'll leave for a while. When he finishes, let me know and you can discuss the matters of the day. So for now, I'm
Okay,
gonna
can I
leave.
pause?
I'll come
Before
back
you
when
do that,
we discuss. I,
we know
I'm not
that
gonna
that's the
listen to
norm.
you
That's the
over
norm
that
you are
issue.
setting. That's the norm you are setting. Can I pause one question before you pause or before you leave?
Would, he, would we allow him just one question before we go into a topic, Dr. Mavaz?
Yeah, but the point is, he is a man who does
No,
not want to listen to others. I try to explain.
no.
He's
How
talking
do
over
you
me.
say I am a man who
Like
doesn't
even
want to
now,
listen to others?
he's talking over me. So even if you ask a question, he will talk over me. He's
So,
a man who went there poised to make an argument, as he's doing now. So
Ask your question, I'll answer, and I'll ask my question,
I have
you
no
answer.
questions. I have no questions to ask you. You
So
have been
let me ask
ejected.
you.
You have been
So let
ejected,
me
and
ask
that's
you.
nice.
So let me ask you.
Go on.
My question to you is the jurisdiction of making invitations to bona fide citizens lies with who or with whose authority?
Authority of the embassy if it's in a foreign land. Number two, the owners of the place you were going to, the discretion whom they want in their place and whom they don't want, and all those things they play a point. And as you have said, your name was not in the list, so I don't understand why you wanted to be there when your name was not on the list. And again,
We are,
I don't know where you get that right to think that as long as it's a national event, you must go there. You are in Namibia. You're not in Zimbabwe. That was a national sports stadium. That was a private venue, and even though it was a public event at a private venue, the owners of that venue have a right of whom should attend there and who should not. And your point of going there to prove a point backfired. And at least I'm happy they managed to take you out of that place because you were going to disturb them. But at least the event goes on, and we wish them well and wish them a peaceful and belated celebrations.
gents, we're going to go around in circles on this one. But I think we have given it at ample time. And Dr. Taps, are you physically okay? Did you get assaulted? Are you okay? Are you healthy?
I'm very much well. I'm sound and well. Nobody touched me because Namibian police enforcers are not like these Zimbabwean police officers. Nobody has the right to touch me, and nobody touched me, and nobody took me away of the event. I left myself after realizing that I was dealing with people who their conscience are pushing for a motive. I couldn't want to embarrass myself arguing with people who I can clearly see that they are pushing for a motive or to prove a point. I was not there to prove a point. That's why I went alone. If I was there to prove a point, I would have recruited accomplices. I
Right.
was barely alone.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Taps. Let's end on that one here. We're going to go into our main topic tonight, our viewers witnesses. We've stretched here. The Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe's Financial Investigative Unit. This is the Financial Intelligence Unit, I think it's called. Correct me if I'm wrong, Dr. Mavasa. You are Dr.
Yes,
Mavasa.
yeah, I can hear you.
Yes, sir. It's the Financial Intelligence Unit. Correct, right?
Yes, it is.
All right. So the Financial Intelligence Unit, which is an arm of the Reserve Bank. And I think tonight I'm going to be asking Dr. Mavasa, one of my main questions is going to be how do we differentiate here between the RBZ and the FI, FIU or FI, excuse me, right? So how are we going to, and then now quickly, this unit was tasked with it's the FIU, right? So it was tasked with the job of investigating the revelations coming out of the Gold Mafia documentary, and the unit announced about 2 months ago. Now, when they announced, they stated that they have frozen the assets of the individuals who are implicated in Al Jazeera's Gold Mafia documentary. Now, less than 2 months later, bang, we see the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe announcing publicly here that they have suddenly unfrozen the assets. What is going on here? This is also at a time when the Speaker of Parliament, Jacob Mudenda, blocks debate in Parliament around the documentary, saying that the investigations are already being done by other arms of government. And there's also the blocking of the agenda to grill Emerson Mnangagwa's wife, Oxidia, Kamlesh Patni, Hubert Angel, and the like. So here we are, Zimbabweans. We are in this situation where the FIU, which I argue tonight, and quite clear as it seems, are an arm of the RBZ, suddenly unfreezes these assets. And then when they do that, they say it is because they've not found any evidence of money laundering, while yet announcing that they are open and they would invite other international agencies to work hand in hand with them at a time when they themselves have exonerated all these individuals. Who is who here? Who is being protected? This is our discussion tonight. Our viewers, readers, and listeners. Dr. Masimba Mavaza, what is happening here? Is
Thank
this
you,
not
Simba.
a case? Yes, is this not a case here of corruption? A corrupt central bank protecting a corrupt head of state, a corrupt in his corrupt wife, and all these other individuals. How do you, Dr. Mavaza, exonerate Mnangagwa? How do you exonerate the RBZ here from being
The first thing,
participating to the crimes?
Simba, I will not address your obsession against Mrs. Mnangagwa and the president, because if you look at the letter we are discussing today, there is nowhere the president has been mentioned. They have mentioned that the accounts which were frozen have been unfrozen. In other words, there is a clear explanation that the, the freezing of those accounts was done because they were investigating. So the first thing I wanted us to understand, Simba, is that the financial intelligence unit is actually headed by a lawyer, Oliver Chiperesa, who was a magistrate. So he's thinking for towards fairness cannot be questioned. He has held the scales of justice for a long time. He has actually trained and taught magistrates and lawyers and prosecutors, and now he presides over an investigative unit within the Reserve Bank. So he had actually applied all the aspects of the law, and he realized at the end of the day that there was no evidence which has come up from the Al Jazeera documentary. And if you read the letter, he did not say the case is thrown away. He simply said there is no reason to continue freezing their accounts because two reasons. Number one, there was no evidence that there was any money which has gone into those accounts of Hubert Angel, and the two others, and all those he mentioned in the Gold Mafia documentary. And again, he had clearly indicated that there is only allegation after allegation. If we are going to act on allegations, nobody will survive. Each one of us, every person, is have people allege things against them. I have heard people allege things against me several times. If people were to act on allegations, most people will be crucified for things they have not done. So in this case, I think it is the wheels of justice which have been put in motion. It is not covering, it is not protection. Another point I want to discuss before Dr. Taps comes in is the fact that, Simba, there is no conflict of interest. The investigative unit, the financial investigative unit of the Reserve Bank is not the Reserve Bank. They investigate without fear or favor. And by so doing, by investigating and coming up with a result, Dr. Taps and Simba, by coming up with a decision, they've not overstepped their mandate. Their mandate is to investigate and come up with a recommendation. And their recommendation was very clear. There is no evidence to continue holding or freezing the accounts of people who were simply mentioned in the documentary without any evidence accompanying that. So in short, yes, there is no corruption which has been vindicated. There is no corruption which has been protected. And again, I want us to be very clear on this as we start this program, Simba. The president of Zimbabwe and his wife have not been accused of being corrupt. Somebody simply said he has access to them. Does not mean that they are corrupt. Anybody could have access to anybody. It does not make him corrupt. And we have access to so many people. It does not make us their friends. It simply make us that we have an access. But we say it at the end of the day, the ambassador at large, Hubert Angel, was names dropping, which was the wrong thing, and that I don't support him for that, and that was wrong, and that does not mean that the government is corrupt because somebody just mentioned their name. There has to be a thorough investigation, and of interest, the Reserve Bank investigating unit have actually said they are prepared to work with international investigators should there be a need or anything they want them to clarify. They are willing to clarify and make sure this case has been thoroughly investigated and put to rest. Simba.
Dr. Mavaza, you're saying the FIU is not is not the RBZ, but who made the announcement? The announcement was made by the RBZ.
Yes, because this is the position. The FIU has done its investigations. They wrote their letter. It was not made by RBZ. The press statement was written by Oliver Chiperesa, the head, by Director General of the FIU. And the FIU, even though it's within RBZ, it is not RBZ.
So why does RBZ become the one that announces then?
They simply are carried on the announcement because they have been given the results of the investigations. RBZ instituted the investigations, and they were done independently and fairly, and RBZ had a right to come back and announce the result of the investigations they had instituted.
And who do they report to? Who does the FIU report to? So I think that's going to be key. We need to know now. Okay, so who exactly do the FIU? What is, because if you talk about the police, would say they report to the police commissioner general, and according to that hierarchy, the prosecutors will report to the prosecutor general. But then the FIU, who's on top?
The FIU, it's an autonomous organization within the Reserve Bank. It is an investigative section. It's like the police, they are within the government, but they are not the government. They don't report to the government about their investigations unless the government have asked them to investigate. So they report to the one who had asked them to investigate. In this case, they were asked to investigate by the Reserve Bank, so they gave their report to the Reserve Bank. But the press statement was issued by FIU, and it was signed by Oliver Chiperesa, not by Mangundla. So in any way, there was no procedural miscarriage in this aspect. It was all up to protocol, and it was done freely and fairly.
Who pays the FIU?
All right. For now, Simba, let us restrict our discussion to whether the announcement was mature or premature. Simba, I can see your mouth, your lips moving.
I apologize.
I apologize.
I'm back now. Here we are. We're going to move here to the next speaker. And we can see comments are already popping up here. Someone is claiming here that Mnangagwa, Auxilia, and their sons are criminals. Very, very strong allegations. There, Erisha, would you like to defend what you've just said there? It's one thing to throw in allegation. Right. But quickly, our viewers, Vinicius, here we are. We're still waiting for some more guests. And while we're waiting, I don't know if Dr. Taps is now ready. I was hoping the other guests would be here by now. So, Dr. Taps, do you want to give us your 2 minutes?
Dr. Taps, I think you are muted. I can't hear you, but I can see your lips moving.
Go ahead. You're in now.
Simba.
You're in now. Yes, sir.
Can you hear me now?
Can hear you perfectly. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Mm.
The first thing here that I'm sorry to use the correct words here. You can clearly see that the other host there is clearly mumbling and fumbling there. He cannot answer the questions that you have asked him based on the fact that he himself knows the truth. And again, we must not look at issues where he is trying to prove that there was no procedural miscarriage in this. Let's look at the FIU. It doesn't have jurisdiction over the parliament because by what we are looking at, it's stealing or a crime committed on an industrial scale. And Section 119 of the Constitution, subsection 2, of that section 119 gives the parliament an oversight over government institutions. So in other words, I'm saying the FIU it subscribes to this section of the Constitution, which gives that mandate or a role of the parliament to give an oversight on such issues. So we cannot have a thief, a son thief reporting a report to his father, who is also a thief. I'm going to be honest that how is it legitimate and how is it legal from what he is trying to say that the FIU can issue a report to Rbz because they were instructed to do the investigation by Rbz, when Rbz is actually the mother of this whole circus we are talking about. So how do you set a thief to investigate the thief? An independent body should be set. And in this case, that's why they blocked the parliament oversight on this matter. So we cannot have somebody trying to lecture to us that no, the FIU did a good thing and they have that right. They don't have that jurisdiction. It must be clear to you, Dr. Makavaza, or it must be clear to you that yes, it must be clear to you that is unconstitutional according to section 119, subsection 2 of the Constitution of Zimbabwe. They must uphold the Constitution. And as you can see from what the viewers are saying, we have the godfather here of the criminals. That's why the investigations are being blocked and being told they've been assumed investigations going on either through a competent court, which is nothing of that sort. There is no other investigations going on around that matter. Unless you can tell me, yes, there is an IO who, and the PG's office, which is the Prosecutor General's office, are in position of a case opened against particular individuals named in this gold mafia saga.
Okay, thank you, Doctor. Masimba, let me explain this. Where the doctor is missing a point. Doctor, the point
could I give you 1 minute, Dr. Mavaza, so that we can get the next guest here, so that just 1 minute maybe to just interject and then thank you.
Yes, the investigations were not stopped, so I don't know where he's getting that investigations were blocked. Parliament was not instructed by Reserve Bank to stop anything. It was the Speaker of Parliament using his own right to tell the MPs to stop interfering in the investigations which were undergoing. And when he made the announcement, it was coincidental that on the same day, the result of the investigations by FIU was brought to light. And in the meantime, ZAC is actually investigating in its own right. And Parliament cannot investigate while the police and ZAC are investigating. Parliamentarians are not investigators. Parliamentarians can bring the issue up, they can refer to the police if it is. But it is an issue which does not involve members of Parliament or parliamentarians. And therefore, Parliament could not in any case set up an investigating team into that. It was not an issue which involved an institution of the nation. Reserve Bank has not been in any way approved to have been dealing with money laundering. Actually, Reserve Bank, the fact that money would go to Reserve Bank was just mentioned by one of the people, that is Angel Hubert, or Hubert Angel. Either way, that does not stop the investigation to go ahead. Investigations are continuing with ZAC, but FIU said there was no basis of freezing the accounts. It is called justice. And in Zimbabwe, unless you are not aware of it, Dr. Taps, not until you are proven to be so. So you are innocent until you are proven to be guilty. So in either way, you cannot be alleged to be guilty simply because somebody alleges that you are guilty. There has to be a process.
Well, Dr. Mafasa, let's
Sorry, just a quick one, Simba.
yeah, but could I hold you, Dr. Taps, so that we have Wilbert's 3 minutes and then we can have a free flow where we are now doing one-to-one.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Simba. I think what we need to understand here is the fact that when the Speaker of the House said Parliament was not going to investigate it, I think that was my understanding of it was that at that time he thought the Reserve Bank was investigating it. And since the Reserve Bank has said they're no longer going to investigate it, there's no reason why Parliament cannot go ahead with their own investigation. As for which one takes precedence over the other, if ZAA, Zimbabwe Anti-Corruption, is investigating it, then yes, okay, they will let them investigate it. But I think what most of the listeners out there will be disappointed with Dr. Mavasa's position here is that he keeps on pretending that in Zimbabwe, corruption and other criminal activities by the ruling elite have been properly investigated. That is not true. We know that in the past, whenever the ruling elites have been involved, the cases have not been properly investigated. And when they are, it is the usual catch and release. And I think that is what is most disconcerting for most Zimbabweans out there, that this is what is going to happen again here. As for the Reserve Bank, none of the Reserve Bank staff were involved. I think in the documentary, there were named individuals who were being paid by some of the gold mafia for their involvement. And to keep on saying that they're innocent, it's ridiculous. You know, are we saying here that the documents that were produced, the evidence that were shown on television as X was being paid so much are untrue? That is ridiculous. But we also have got to accept here that in the documentary itself, most of the gold mafia gangsters named President Mnangagwa himself as their protector. In other words, the president himself is involved, and therefore, then,
if you can start to land, yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, and then therefore, then there is every reason to believe the reason why the investigations are being suppressed is because the president himself doesn't want to be investigated. His wife was in the video, in the documentary. Voice was heard talking to one of the peoples involved, Hubert Angel. So in this particular case, we have a system that is incredibly corrupt. And to say that 1.2 billion, 1.6 rather, billion US dollars per year could be lost through smuggling in a country, and none of the responsible authorities know about it, it's ridiculous. It's pathetic. The only logical explanation is they knew about it, but they were told to do nothing about it. And therefore, then the investigation here will reveal nothing because they already knew all these things were happening, and they were told to do nothing about it. And some of them were involved in the looting. Thanks, Simba.
Right. Thank you very much, Robert. We have another guest via Twitter Space, Tabo Makuyana. Would you like to give us your quick one, and then we're going to have a free flow?
Right. We
and gents, and gents, very much. Yes, Zimbabwe freedom of expression. Yeah, absolutely. And as you know, we are in our final 15 minutes, gents. So as soon as he finishes, Zimbabwe freedom of expression finishes, then we're just going to go free flow, and then we'll have closing remarks. We want to keep to our time today. Thank you. Shoot.
Yeah, thank you very much. Right. Today we went to the embassy after announcing that we're going to demonstrate at the Zimbabwe embassy. And in all intents and purposes, it was very successful. The main doors at the embassy were closed when we got there today. When we got there before 11 o'clock, and we were very happy to see them closed because usually they're open. Sorry, Simba, your mic is hot. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. You said my mic is?
Yeah, your mic is on. Your mic is on.
Okay.
Thank you very much. And
right. Okay. So basically, so today we've got two people who are you're coming from London embassy, and the other gentleman is coming from the Namibian embassy. Okay, shoot, please.
Yes. And we were not expecting to see the embassy closed today. The main door is supposed to be open on Wednesdays. Around that time when we get there, it's usually open. But today it was closed because they knew there was going to be a protest there. They did not know how many numbers were going to be there, but there was going to be a protest there. There were a number of police vans milling around. There was even one when we were ending the protest, and we were singing, and they were watching us singing. And this is linked to what happened in Geneva, where Pazaimahare was speaking. This is linked to what the Zinasu students have been protesting about. This is linked to the arrest of Job Sikala, who is a prisoner of conscience. This is linked to the arrest of Jacob Garuvime. And this is linked to the topic of the day, which is the capture of the parliament by one Mr. Mudenda, where he is turning the MPs into toothless bulldogs, pretty much. Now, those that say that there's no evidence, continue saying that. And remember, you cannot wake up someone who is pretending to sleep. When someone is pretending to sleep, you have to get a hammer or a shovel or some very cold water and pour it in them, and then they will wake up. But when they are pretending to sleep and you just shout and you shake them, they will not sleep. So those that pretend not to know, they know it's on purpose. It's not by mistake. They do things on purpose. And when I say on purpose, I mean the looting was not by mistake. There is no way you can have a whole intelligence operation, a whole reserve bank, a whole Ministry of Finance, and a whole CIO, including the security apparatus which is linked to Ayata at the airport, not knowing about smuggling. It is literally impossible. All of them were in cahoots. And the boss of the mafia is the one at the top. This is what it is linking to. So, those that pretend to sleep, keep on pretending. When the cold water comes on you, you will wake up. I'll end there. Thank you.
Wow, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Simba.
Yes,
please, can I get the name of the last speaker?
My name is Tabo Makuyana. I'm a regular attendee at ZHRO.
Yeah, yes, Makuyana. Yeah, sorry, I'd forgotten how confused you guys are. Firstly, Makuyana.
I like the way you become personal.
No, I'm not. That's fine. That's fine. But the point here is,
we can come to you as well and bring out your backstory.
Yes,
if you want.
We'll talk about that. But the point I was going to raise.
Well, you can take back what you said if you don't want me to bring it out.
Let's have Dr. Mafaza to finish, please, so that we can.
No. You can take back what you said if he doesn't want me to bring it out.
Makuyana, can you listen?
If you take back what you said,
beating up a drum and making noise at the embassy does not help anything. But my point here is the first thing you guys make a mistake. You mix a lot of issues with one small issue. The issue at hand is whether the decision by FIU is a good decision or a bad decision. Whether FIU had actually tumbled in the boundaries of a clear cut of entering into issues which are not supposed to be theirs. And again, if you look at that, is there a conflict of interest in all this issue? These are the questions we are looking at. And the answer is very clear. The FIU does investigations. And in its investigation, it has come up with a decision. And its decision is that there is no evidence at all that the accounts they have frozen have been used in money laundering. That's the first thing. I don't know where you get the president and his wife from and where you put them in an issue where they are not involved. Number two, I've heard Mr. Mkori saying that the first lady was heard talking on the program. The first point is there was a woman's voice. Nobody had come up with saying clearly that it was from the first lady. And again, whatever was said by the voice, it was not corrupt. The voice simply said, go and speak. Kuna baba, taurana baba. We don't know whether the father meant Father Mkonori of the Catholic Church or Pope or anybody else, because specifically father does not mean president. So musanyebere kudzungaira vamakuyana, musanyebere kupenga, because there is no corruption.
Sorry, Simba.
And now the second issue about coming to the embassy, I'm going to be very clear.
No, please let him finish.
In conclusion, I'm going to be very clear on this point, Makuyana, now that you are here. It does not help you to go to the embassy every day and try to make noise. That is not how you solve issues. You are simply trying to vilify your own country. You are simply trying to embarrass your own country with things which are not even necessary, because the country is not corrupt. And you know that the issue of job scala has nothing to do with the gold mafia. The issue of Father Mayere, who was telling a lies in Geneva, they have nothing to do with gold mafia. And all the things you are mixing up here, you are simply trying to come up with your own opposition campaign on the back of gold mafia.
Simba, we cannot have that guy. We cannot have that guy continuing
let him finish.
to mumble and fumble there.
But let him finish, please.
No, you are basically mumbling because you must. I want to give you a free lecture on political science. There is what is termed. Wait. You were talking. You were talking. I was not talking.
Simba, if
you were talking, I was not talking. You must listen. I want to give you a free lecture.
But hold on,
what is termed.
Dr. Taps, can we just have him finish? Let him finish in 30 seconds. Once he's done, then you can come in. Thank you.
Dr. Taps is clearly drunk. That's why I was ejected from the embassy. And again, I want to say in conclusion that the issue of corruption cannot be mixed with some other issues of your own campaign gimmick. Zimbabwe cannot be ruled over demonstrations in foreign land. You take your problems to Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe will deal with it. And I want to tell you one thing in conclusion. We are a blessed nation. We have the most wonderful hearing president who listens to his people. And that, if you don't consider that is luck, then we are lost. Zimbabwe is
surely, gentlemen, we can listen to that nonsense that guy is saying.
I finished to say that to you, Simba, and to everybody else. But this comrade Taps of his, please don't come to this thing if you are drunk. Be sober.
No, you cannot tell me I'm drunk. Your mind is drunk. Because what you are saying is basically drunkenness.
Gents, okay. So, gents, we have all these different contributions here. We only have 5 minutes left, okay, to conclude.
Simba, I have said I want basically to give a free lecture to that doctor. I'm saying there is what is
we give you 1 minute?
Parliamentary
1 minute.
oversight committee.
We're going to be rounding. Yes.
There is what is termed a Parliamentary Oversight Committee. It is even signed off by the president himself, and it is aligned to any particular ministry. It's an exclusive oversight committee. The FIU subscribes or is under the supervision as well as monitoring by the Parliament Oversight Committee, which is also even appointed and authorized by the president. So you cannot have to say here a manager is making a decision which must be made by the CEO. So you cannot try to convince us here that the FIU did a good thing by issuing that. Basically, they are not stopping, but there is no evidence. As who, because there is a Parliamentary Oversight Committee, which has the mandate and right to do a thorough investigations and in turn give a recommendation as to is there substantial evidence based on circumstances surrounding the matter. Then an investigation from the Minister of Justice will be conducted and people will be appointed to do that. Not these bedroom investigations that you are trying to tell us on this platform. This is a country, it's not a bedroom. This is not a Mnangagwa bedroom. This is not your bedroom. This is a country which has a constitution, and that constitution maintains a Parliamentary Oversight Committee. You must make a research on yourself. What is a Parliamentary Oversight Committee, and what is its jurisdiction, and what is the jurisdiction of the FIU? If you make yourself well versed with that, then you cannot come here and mumble and fumble and accuse people of being drunk. I'm giving you a free lecture on political science.
You are drunk and there's no lecture there.
You are drunk.
Right.
Yourself.
Could we have one, because we're about to close, gents, and I want to really keep to time here. We'll bet you 1 minute.
Thanks very much, Simba. I think in this particular instance, again, I've participated in many discussions on this platform. I think Dr. Mawaza needs to be reminded that on this platform, ZimI, everyone is given the respect that is due to them. To start calling somebody drunk, I think is totally disrespectful. You know, even if the person is drunk, it's not for you to start telling them that they are drunk and denouncing them. Demonstrations in the UK are legal. When they went to the embassy to demonstrate, they are within their rights. If the police felt that demonstration was violent or is illegal, the police will deal with them. For you to start saying everybody who criticizes ZANU-PF is unpatriotic, that again is the root cause of why Zimbabwe is in this mess. We have got to have the openness to say X is wrong because of A, B, C, D. Now, you can criticize whether the reasons given are wrong or right, but to say that we cannot criticize the regime because that is unpatriotic, I think that is something that I cannot accept. And I think we need to put our foot down. If we're going to discuss anything in a meaningful way, we need to respect that. You know, the issue, the fact that you support ZANU-PF, that is your decision. But not everyone should be forced to support ZANU-PF. Not everyone should be forced to support CCC. So if I don't support it, I don't support it. I'm not saying I'm less patriotic than you. And
try to land,
you
please.
The right to start dictating to everybody how everybody else should behave. On the gold mafia, gold mafia, let me finish, Mawaza, please.
Talk about the topic, not about
mafia,
me.
Everybody watch that documentary. They make their own conclusion. If you think there is no evidence, that's your conclusion. Other people
can you land,
to their
please?
own conclusion, and you should respect that too. You know, and I think this issue of thinking that You somehow have got the right to have the final say in everything. It's totally unacceptable.
Right. Dr. Mafasa,
Yeah, I was saying in short,
closing remark.
Mr. Mukori, you spend half of your time just talking about me. Let me tell you, and I'll tell you again in short. And thank you for acknowledging that Taps is drunk, and thank you for that. I'm sorry to call him drunk. He's actually high. But the point we are discussing here is, was it corrupt for FIU to issue a statement? It was not. Are they protecting anybody? They are not. Are they corrupt themselves? They are not. Are they afraid of anybody? No. This is nothing about ZANU-PF or any other party. It's entirely a criminal activity which has been exposed by Al Jazeera, but it has no evidence. Therefore, nobody could be arrested unless there's evidence. If there's no arrest, it does not reflect badly on ZANU-PF. It simply shows that investigations have to be done. Bad investigations would not result in any arrest.
In your words, you claimed Hubert was name dropping. So why is Hubert still holding on to a diplomatic passport if he was name dropping?
Name dropping is not a crime.
It is. It's equal to impersonification. If you don't know, you need to do a research on what you are trying to argue here. Name dropping, especially including high profile people, is a crime. That's why if you name drop using the president's name, you are charged.
No,
and
you are
in
wrong.
this
You are
case,
wrong.
the
That's
first lady, is involved. Why is Hubert not? You, in your own words, said he was name dropping. So why is he still an ambassador at large?
Name dropping is not a crime, and he did not use name dropping to extort money or anything. He was dealing with what he thought were investors who were criminals as well, because both of them were lying to each other. And whatever happened there, it was a commission of liars which came up to be a documentary. The unfortunate thing is only Hubert did not have an audience to share his documentary, while Al Jazeera had you to listen to the documentary. But name dropping is not a crime. It only becomes a crime when it's used to extort money or to get
money was extorted.
Gents?
Money was extorted. Remind yourself of that. Make peace with that. Money was extorted.
Gents, we're going to need to, we are having to shut, and I apologize that we're having to shut early, but I hope you understand.
Please, may I ask one question, please?
Right. Tabo, you wanted to ask a question. I thought you were going to give a closing remark because we literally have to.
Yeah, I will.
Okay.
The question can come after my remark.
Okay. Would you hold on, please? Would you hold on, Tabo? You know, on that.
Sure.
Who had his hand lifted up? Waro, did you want to ask a question? Waro?
No, I wasn't going to ask a question. I was just going to say, sometimes when you are obsessed with opposing for the sake of, it's easy to conflict issues as well as to lose perspective. More so when you are known historically to dislike or a hatred or bitterness or towards something. If we are going to have a constructive discussion, some kind of bitterness and hatred of something, we're going to at least try to suppress it. That way we can have a constructive discussion and actually inform, educate each other as Zimbabweans. But when there is just hatred and bitterness and clearly come out in contributed, then no wonder why you end up having quite a lot of fence sitters or just a couple of people engaging in debating among between themselves, and the rest of us just being quiet because we don't pick up on that. I mean, for me, in terms of being a Zimbabwean, the challenge that I have with with foreign activism, which is where you spend most of your time in the land embarrassing your country or embarrassing yourself in the hope that you are either supported to get into power or things get changed. I don't know what kind of things that people who are in the diaspora, particularly in the UK, are learning. Because one thing that you see in most European countries or Western countries, not even Western countries, but most, even in developed countries such as India or the Arab world, is the passion you show in Parliament. So if Keir Starmer is debating and arguing with Rishi Sunak on issues that concern them, that's brilliant. But when it comes to foreign engagement, I think you have noticed even Keir Starmer himself going to support Ukraine. Yet we know that within the Labour Party there are people who are very uneasy with blankets, sort of the rolling of carpet for Zelensky and supporting Ukraine. To a certain extent, we have respect of breathe. What we must learn is knowing that
if you can try to land,
institution is representing you, such as an embassy. So the disruption, I mean, it's embarrassing when one comes out and say, "Oh, we disrupted it to close the embassy." So imagine my brother who has traveled from the Republic of Ireland, or has traveled from Manchester or Liverpool or Scotland to come and have consular services. They want their passport, they want to sort things out, they want to travel home, or they've lost a relative and they're trying to sort that out for the body to be repatriated at home. They get to the embassy shut because someone is just, to show their name, just to feel that they can have it shut. For what? You've affected 100 people, 200 people who are supposed to benefit from that service today, just to put across an argument about somebody who has committed crimes in Zimbabwe, whether you agree or not, but the fact is some crimes have been committed. You feel there's an Al Jazeera gold mafia thing that is going on. So you have to disrupt all our lives just to make a point. I find it extremely embarrassing, to be quite honest.
Right.
One should be embarrassed to basically post on a public platform like this about such an act.
Right. Thank you very much, sir. Much appreciated. Your comment, just as we close here, you're saying that people should not back or should not even act on the Al Jazeera revelations because they were done by foreigners. That's your view. People should be focused on protecting the reputation of anyone who is implicated. That's what you seem to be projecting.
No, I'm saying people should be focusing on protecting the reputation of your country. The reputation of your country is very, very important.
Why should we be protecting it? Why should we protect what has happened for us to protect it? What you are saying basically is we should clean up other people's mess, is what you are saying. Why should we protect the reputation? It has been
reputation which you have tried to portray that you have. You still miss a basic point that I'm making. I'm making a
you are not making any sense there. Sorry to say, to tell you, you are not making any sense.
Shut up.
What you are saying basically doesn't make sense. Why should we clean what we did not? What we did not make dirty?
You don't make a fool of yourself by.
You are a fool, man. Hey, you are a fool. You.
Gents, we're gonna need
gents. Business because you've got a point to make.
We cannot continue to give you the platform when you are busy there saying nonsense.
Someone traveled from Scotland today.
Right. Okay. What?
To get a service from the embassy, you are boasting here to say.
So don't tell people they should not go into embassy. It's their constitutional right.
How are you going to get the service from the embassy? How are you going to get the service from the embassy? You are boasting here to say.
They are constitutional right. So don't tell people they should not go into embassy. It's their constitutional right. So don't tell people they should not go into embassy. It's their constitutional right. So don't tell people they should not go into embassy. It's their constitutional right. So don't tell people they should not go into embassy. It's their constitutional right. So don't tell people they should not go into embassy. It's their constitutional right. So don't tell people they should not go into embassy. It's their constitutional right. So don't tell people they should not go into embassy. It's their constitutional right. So don't tell people they should not go into embassy. It's their constitutional right. So don't tell people they should not go into embassy. It's their constitutional right. So don't tell people they should not go into embassy. It's their constitutional right. So don't tell people they should not go into embassy. It's their constitutional right. So don't tell people they should not go into embassy. It's their constitutional right Picketing, demonstrating is a constitutional right. So don't say because somebody assumed somebody traveled from Liverpool or from where, then that cuts off the constitutional right of citizens.
Right, okay.
Traveled from Scotland.
Okay,
It goes without saying you are a fool, man.
You are boasting here that you hate chat. Do you expect my sympathy? Do you expect me to regard you as a normal, progressive, understanding, knowledgeable person that you are trying to portray?
You are a fool, man. You are a fool.
Gents,
it goes without saying.
Okay, gents, we're going to need to shut. Gents, we will need to shut.
Accept it, you are a fool.
Okay, we're going to need to shut. We're going to need to shut. Right, Tabo. Quick question: do you think you can make it 10 seconds? I apologize, but we really need to. We really need to close.
Yeah. Very quickly. Commotion, sorry, your mic is on.
That's fine.
Close your mic.
Okay.
Your mic is on. Thank you. Please may you close your mic, please. Quickly. Firstly, the embassy main doors were closed. The embassy main doors were closed. If you have been to the embassy, what you will know is that the side door of the embassy, people can still go in and out. So the embassy was not completely shut down. Everybody that was needing to get service got service. And by the way, if you need to get service outside of embassy hours, you can go and knock on the embassy doors even at midnight, and they will open the door for you if you are a Zimbabwean. On top of that, there are various people in WhatsApp groups who, if you need to get in touch with the embassy to expedite certain situations on your family's behalf, regardless of what has happened, you can get in touch with embassy staff. This is how things work on the ground in Zimbabwe, and this is how things work outside of Zimbabwe in the diaspora.
So no.
Excuse me. When you were talking, I did not interrupt you.
No, you were interrupting me. That is what I'm just asking you. You are taking pride in your intimidatory behavior at the embassy. That's what you are justifying.
I did not disturb you when you were talking. The host is here. The host knows I didn't disturb you.
That's fine. Go ahead with your foolish assertions.
Okay. So, you can call me foolish if you want. That's your opinion. And you are entitled to it. Now,
I didn't say you're foolish.
That is your opinion. Thank you very much. You can keep it to yourself. Thank you. Now, and you are entitled to that opinion. I really believe you are entitled to it. You are qualified to have that opinion, even if you only.
No, leave that fool. Don't answer back to that fool.
Now, the next part I wanted to address is the simple fact that if demonstrations were allowed in Zimbabwe, I would not matter. When I go and demonstrate outside the embassy of Zimbabwe, it would have absolutely no effect at all. None. But the fact that they're not allowed in Zimbabwe, that's what makes me going to demonstrate at the embassy have all the gravitas that it has. That's the second part. The third part is this. As much as you think I'm trashing my country, I was one of the first people on Twitter Spaces to say the ministers should be up front and center, talking on behalf of the country, making sure that they are leading the investigation into the gold mafia. Now, Mudenda is saying the ministers are going to be the ones doing the questioning and answering and everything else. Yet the House has voted. When I say the House has voted, I mean the House has already spoken. The ordinary MPs have taken over. He is coming in after the fact. Now, when they are coming in after the fact, remember that all other nations have already been doing their own assessments on Zimbabwe. All other international organizations have already been doing their own assessments on Zimbabwe. I am not asking, when I go to the embassy, I am not asking for other nations to do their job when I'm at the embassy. I am asking my MPs, I'm asking my government to do its job. But the simple fact of the matter, because they do not want to listen to me because they see me as unpatriotic, because I am like the canary in the coal mine. Yeah? They want to catch me whilst I'm in the coal mine.
If you can land, please. Yeah,
I'm landing. The Al Jazeera investigation, one of the chief investigators, right? One of the chief people who were involved in the investigations was Mr. Shibat Kanza, Zim-I, right? And then you are coming and saying Al Jazeera is the only one that was involved in this. Zimbabweans were involved, heavily involved, in the Al Jazeera documentary because it was Zimbabwe-centric. There was no way it could have been done without the tacit acquiescence of Zimbabweans who love their country, who do not want to see money being looted from their country.
Wow.
If they were being listened to by government and by you, Al Jazeera would never have come out. I land there. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Shaman Kena. Gents, thank you very much for tonight. It's been a very long discussion, and I want to try every time to keep our discussions under 1 hour. We've gone over for 15 minutes. We should not happen again. My apologies. But let's catch up tomorrow, same time, as we explore what's happening in and around our country. Thank you to our guests, Wilbert Mukori, Dr. Masimama Vaza, Dr. Taps, and we also have Tabo Makuyana there. And every other person who's attended, let us catch up tomorrow. If there's anything that you wish us to cover, please connect with us. I've had some people, by the way, just as we close, Wilbert, do you know what? I've had some people criticize me, number one, for hosting many times, bringing Dr. Masimama Vaza and other people from ZANU-PF in these debates, in these discussions. They're claiming that Simba unofana kwaunza, and then there've also been people who have been attacking the mayor for Kobe because of a meeting, 1 or 2 meetings. I think it was one meeting really that had a picture of him meeting Emerson Mnangagwa. And by the way, Tabo, I think you must have seen these comments from people who are attacking the mayor of Kobe, and they're also attacking, and they're basically literally spending all their energies predominantly from the opposition. Now, Zimbabweans on this news network will recall, more than 2 years ago, I started a program here on ZimI where I was interviewing winners of the elections in the UK who are Zimbabweans, where I was encouraging them to connect with the political and the cultural leadership in Zimbabwe. And I stated there, particularly to the opposition, take territory. I don't know if people remember me stating so. Take territory. Murkutorerwa territory yenyu. Onaima Asians, they are united. Look at what they've done. UK is practically now under Asians. London has got an Asian mayor, right? A Muslim mayor, right? UK now has an Asian prime minister. Scotland now has a Muslim first minister. And these people, they are uniting. They're doing something as a community. And I started this program here. I had 10. Yes, yeah. So sorry, yes, I have. Thank you for correcting me quickly. Yeah, now I wanted to say that, you see, I then stated in the Kavandatini, I said, Zimbabweans, you will need to ensure, particularly those in the opposition, to take territory. I hosted the first 10, up to 10 winners of the elections in the UK. And I brought the people's president, President Nelson Chamisa, to host the first meeting. I spoke about it. And I even invited Dr. Mavaza. And you know what? Dr. Mavaza there is the only Zimbabwean citizen who stole my idea. There's no one from the opposition who stole that, who could have easily, even these guys who apana kana one, whoever adopted that idea. The idea was, let's do something new, something different as black Zimbabweans in the UK. Let's sponsor our first 50 MPs who are Zimbabweans at Westminster. Everywhere we can. And Dr. Masimama Vaza is the only person who copied my idea. And he connected just one of those winners of the elections for a brief photo shoot with Emerson Mnangagwa. Now, I have myself many times met Mnangagwa's administration, so many times. People have seen me publicly and the like. Many times I've even been on picture, on camera. None of those meetings have made me ZANU-PF at all. And now we're seeing this very same opposition members, right, who are in the UK, who could have taken this opportunity to strengthen their foothold in the UK and connected Nelson Chamisa with more election winners. They're the same people who are spending energy attacking just one of those election winners, who is the mayor of Kobe, for having a photo shoot in Mnangagwa. And simply because on that photo shoot, he also had Dr. Masimba Mafasa, the only Zimbabwean out of all Zimbabweans who stole my idea, Wilbert, an idea that is being used by other communities such as Asians. Americans also use that idea, that concept, right, of taking territory, Tongai. So I'm shocked that Zimbabweans in the UK have spent more time. There was some article that was written by a certain journalist called Sarah Ward, and it's dedicated to just attacking this one Zimbabwean, who is just one of those 10 or 11 election winners in the UK. Wilbert, we're talking about here, where are the priorities, members of the opposition who claim to be supporting Nelson Chamisa? Where are your priorities here? When Mnangagwa says, munoramba mchingovukura isu tichingotonga, honai panapa even UK Mnangagwa akutozoitonga. And so far, just as we end, I will need to do a program about this as we end. Dr. Masimba Mafasa managed to get one. Yeah? Did you pet the program? You'll be shocked, Wilbert. 2 weeks from today, no one from the opposition is going to make an initiative to bring these election winners, the other 9, yeah, so that they meet Chamisa and have photo shoots, and then they plan and the like. And 2 months from today, they will be writing articles attacking this one Zimbabwean, Masimba Mafasa, who has just one Zimbabwean. So I'm wondering, with opposition.
My remark on that one, Simba, is I think at the time, if you remember correctly, I did comment on your articles and your coverage. And one of the things that I emphasize there is we need to be involved in the community in which we live. That is our contribution to that community. So there is nothing wrong with being involved politically in the community we are in. And as for this photo shoot with Mnangagwa, as a Zimbabwean, even if it's you, if you were to find yourself in a situation
I've not met Mnangagwa, but I've definitely met all my ambassadors. Actually, one time I met 4 of them, and Mutuli, and some of these mafia guys. They were there in Switzerland. Yeah, but thank you. Please go ahead. Yeah.
In this particular case, I think what we need, what personally I think we should be doing, particularly you as a journalist, you need to meet people from all spheres, all political parties. The fact that you should be boxed into CCC or ZANU-PF would be a mistake. Zim-I think that's one of the reasons why Zim-I has been popular with many people, because you've allowed alternative points of view. The only thing I have got against Mafasa is the fact that he seemed to have this attitude that because he supports ZANU-PF, he is the one who is only right, and anyone else who dares criticize ZANU-PF or criticize the regime is unpatriotic. That to me is counterproductive, undemocratic, because when something is wrong, the most patriotic thing you can do is correct it, because then the country will be making progress. I believe in a Zimbabwe where our potential lies in being the South Korea of Africa. Progressive, prosperous, and at peace. At the present moment, we are nowhere near that. And we can only get from where we are now back to where we should be by being critical of, if you do something wrong, I should be able to say that is wrong without fearing, oh, no, if I criticize you, I'll be labeled a rebel or unpatriotic. That is nonsense. That should be dismissed as nonsense. And I honestly believe that Zim-I, that's one of the best things you've done. Allowing various points of view. We need diverse opinion. We just need to have set the rules for that discussion to be meaningful. If we are going to start exchanging, scolding each other, I think we have missed the boat. I totally agree that in this particular case, the opposition, they can step in and use some of the opportunities that are there to advance the Triple C's position by meeting some of the politically active people here of Zimbabwean origin, or even of other nations, because that's the only way you're going to advance your own position. Where you are going to have to be able to communicate with some of these people in positions of power is the best way you can have also to have a platform. That is important. And I think that should be encouraged. And
I'm shocked.
Strongly recommend it.
Thank you very much, Wilbert. I'm really shocked that, look at here, what I have achieved myself, okay, for the Zimbabwean people over the time, and these methods that I've proposed, and nearly everything that I think that I've proposed for the Zimbabwean people has worked. And then after all this, and me sharing like this many times in the cheetah scream Wilbert on video and shitaura masports ekugadzira nyika, and all that. And I'm talking about here, train your kids. Let's sponsor Zimbabweans so that they get involved in politics. Do you know the only Zimbabwean? But oh, by the way, there was another Zimbabwean who called me and said to me, Simba, I was listening to you doing a commentary on this, and you talked about getting involved. As soon as I heard your words, I applied to the Home Office for a job straight away. I don't have a British passport, but I'm already in a very senior job at the Home Office just from listening to you. That's what the gentleman told me. Getting involved. But do you know the only Zimbabwean who stole my idea? The only Zimbabwean here was Dr. Mavaza, and he managed to get this brief photo shoot with the mayor, with Mnangagwa, and everyone has turned their teeth against him. I remember around that time, he made some statements here on this platform. And Dr. Mavaza talked about, he accused Nelson Chamisa of being a mere pastor and Emerson Mnangagwa being a power star. I don't know if people heard that one there, but a lot of people got furious with Dr. Mavaza after that. And then the attacks became extremely personal. That energy, however justified it was, if some of it would have been deployed to helping to establish a strong Zimbabwean community in the UK, a strong opposition presence in the British government, muutongi wehurumende Britain, equals, right now, dai vanhu opposition manga muutongi. How many have you gotten into government ever since that day? How many have applied? Dololo, none. Wilbert and Jens, thank you very much. I'm sorry for diverting, but I just had to pour my heart on this one because I was really, I felt so sad that Zimbabweans couldn't just pick one small tip here to fixing Zinuzabo, to fixing their problems. Right now, people are just following one line of citizen engagement. Let's shut. Thank you very much. Good evening to you. And let's catch up tomorrow, same time, right here on Zimai.
Thank you very much. Good night, Simba.
Cheers, Wilbert. Thank you. Well.